You want to know the scale of the solar system? So do I. We're going to use food. Stick around. Hello, so we're going to go through the scale of the solar system using food. We've got all sorts of things on here. We've got a honeydew melon, we've got a watermelon, we've got a couple of cherry tomatoes, we've got a bit of rock salt down here, we have a peppercorn, we have a blueberry, an apricot and an apple. So you're going to have to guess which ones are what, but I will tell you throughout this episode. Few new ones in here, you're probably counting and thinking, hang on, we've got too many. We've got a planet that I'll tell you about at the end. We've also got poor little Pluto, demoted to a dwarf planet, but I thought I'd include good old Pluto anyway. So let's get on. So the first planet would be the peppercorn, which is Mercury. There we go. So at this scale, Mercury would be a peppercorn. The Sun, at this scale, I can't actually fit it in. It'd be about 4 meters wide, huge. So what can I tell you about lovely little Mercury? It's rocky. It has no atmosphere, it has no moons, it has no rings. What will happen though is you will have your birthday every 3 months. It goes around the sun in 88 days, so yay. What does it taste like? Not looking forward to this. Oh. Not so good. Don't try that one. I've got all this to try now. So the next planet along would be Venus, and it is a cherry tomato. Yay, I don't mind cherry tomatoes. That's the scale. Again, if the sun were 4 meters across, it'd be roughly a cherry tomato. What can I tell you about the Venus? It is the hottest of all of the planets. So very, very, very hot. And that's because it's got a very thick atmosphere and it traps the heat. Also, it goes round clockwise. Okay, all the other planets bar one, and I will share the other one with you, go anti-clockwise. So this one goes clockwise, and that pepper's just getting to me right now. So it goes clockwise very, very slowly. It actually goes round the sun in 225 days, but it turns in something like 243, which makes its day longer than its year. Wow. Other things, other facts, the atmospheric pressure on Venus is 92 times stronger than Earth, which means it's the equivalent of being under our sea, about 1,000 metres under our sea, about a kilometre. So you'll be very squished. What does it taste like? Well, I think we all know. Delicious, clears the palate. The next planet is Earth, and it is a cherry tomato. And they say it's Venus's twin. Personally, I don't think there's much you can compare, bar the size. So same size. What can I tell you about Earth? Well, you probably know a lot about Earth already. But I can say that it's a water world. 75% of Earth is covered, the surface is covered in water. So other facts, deepest point of Earth, Challenger Deep, it's in the Mariana Trench. It's almost 11 kilometres down, 11,000 metres, so even more squished than Venus. The highest point, Everest, nearly 9,000 metres. So that's Earth. Let's try it again. It's really strange, it just tastes just like Venus. Odd. the next planet would be Mars. Now, it's definitely not the watermelon or either melon, really. It is, in fact, the blueberry. That's it, the blueberry. Nearly forgot what it was. There we go, the blueberry. Ta-da! Scowl. There we go. Earth, blueberry. So quite a bit smaller. Surprising, really. As a kid, I always thought they were about the same size, but they're not. Facts about Mars. It's the only planet in the solar system that has polar caps, apart from Earth. So it has a north and southern polar cap. Scientists think it had an ocean in the north part of the planet, very shallow, and they've just, in the news, they've just recently found, or they think they've found, some liquid water in the South Pole, I believe, underneath the polar cap, so that's really exciting. Other facts, Olympus Mons, one of the biggest, or certainly highest mountains in the solar system. It's actually a volcano, or an extinct volcano, 21.5 kilometres high. It's about 600 kilometres in width, so you wouldn't actually know you're going up it. There is one more that's just a bit bigger on Vesta, the asteroid. The mountain there is 22 kilometres. So yeah, Mars probably will be visited by man at some point. Let's see what it tastes like. Lovely. Blueberry. Lovely. Perfect. So that's Mars. The next planet is Jupiter. Now Jupiter's huge. It's not the apple or the lime. It's actually the watermelon. So there it is, and that's how big it is roughly compared with the Earth. So quite something. It's got a storm in it called the Great Red Spot. It's been raging for about 300 years. Could probably fit 2 or 3 Earths inside that storm. Phenomenal. A few more facts. It turns the quickest. It's the quickest turning planet. 10 hours. So if we lived there, we'd only have a working day of 2 or 3 hours. So perhaps a really great place to live. In fact, it would be the worst place to live. It's a gas giant. Really, really inhospitable, loads of radiation. In fact, a couple of other things. Got the biggest moon, Ganymede. There's 4 main moons. There's Callisto, Io, Europa, and Ganymede. And Ganymede is bigger than our moon. It's actually bigger than Mercury, and it's bigger than the dwarf planet Pluto. So there you go. Yes, if it wasn't a moon, it would be a planet. So there you go. The next one is Saturn. Now Saturn is big, so it's not one of these. It's actually, yes, the honeydew melon. Now I want you to imagine that this is a bit fatter. I couldn't get a fatter one. Very, very, very big gas giant compared with Jupiter. So a little bit fatter, and that's what Saturn would be like. Probably a cantaloupe melon would probably be better. It has rings, and in fact the rings, like that. The rings are so big that actually go around Jupiter quite nicely. Yeah? I don't know if you can see that here. So the rings are huge. They're made up of like dust, ice particles. Some ice particles are bigger than others. Some are like giant cars. So that's the rings. If you could find a lake or a sea big enough, do you know what? Saturn would float. It's not very dense, but obviously I don't think we're going to have any water big enough to float Saturn. So again, that's Saturn. The other thing about Saturn is it outputs more energy than it gets from the sun. So another fact for you. The next planet is Uranus, and it's actually the apple. Da-da, da-da. So scale-wise, it's quite a bit bigger than us. Interestingly, if you were to put this skewer through, the axis of Uranus is odd. It sits almost flat, 98 degrees. So Earth's is 23. That's how we get our seasons. We go around the sun like that, and we get our seasons. But poor old Uranus doesn't. It's yeah, so flat like that. There you go. The other thing you should know is that it is a gas giant. It's a gas giant. They call it the ice gas giant, and it's made up of hydrogen, helium. It's got ammonia, methane, and it's blue, and it's wonderful. A wonderful, wonderful looking planet. What's it taste like? Oops. Bad manners. Very good. That's Uranus. Next one, Neptune. Aha! The lime. Don't know if I can get through that, but I will try. The lime. Well, Neptune, what can I say? 160 years to go round the sun. So you get your birthday every 160 years. Not so good. Boo-hoo. The other thing you should know about Neptune, it actually is about the same temperature as Uranus. Yet it only gets 40% of the sun's energy. So there's something funny going on in Neptune. Scientists aren't quite sure. It's got the same kind of makeup. It's a deeper blue. Methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and helium, and things like that. So scale, ta-da, just slightly smaller than Uranus. Okay, yay. Oh. No, a little bit. Got a little bit. The next one, I can't find it. It's a bit of rock salt. Here we go. It's Pluto. Poor old Pluto got demoted quite a few years ago to a dwarf planet. And you can kind of tell why. It's only 2,300 kilometres in diameter. The moon is bigger than it. So poor old Pluto. Lovely, just perfect. Finish off the meal. The other things, well, there is one more planet, the 9th planet. It's a hypothetical planet, and it's represented by an apricot. Now, why and how do we know that it exists? Well, there's a tug on Uranus and Neptune, gravitation. It's just a very slight gravitational tug, and they think that there is a 9th planet, and it's roughly the size between Earth and Uranus. So there you go, there's the scale. Ta-da. But again, hypothetical. They think it probably goes around in 15 or 20,000 years round the sun. So it's probably at its furthest point, and that's why we can't see it. So, yeah, perfect. Dessert. That is the scale of the solar system in fruit. I hope you've enjoyed it. There is the next video, which is all about stars and how big the sun is compared to other stars. Don't miss it. Subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.